Hello, everyone. I'm Nerdstalgic, and this is going to be our first week of August episode of Wraeclastonomics. Um, not much has changed since last week's currency report, but I thought that I would bring you this episode to kind of highlight some things that I do see developing. Now, I was out of town for the weekend, and the weekend is when a lot of currency trading goes down. I mean, there is quite a bit that goes down during the week as well, but particularly on the weekends, it is very fast and furious, so that can be a really good time to gather some currency ratios. But since I got back into town, I have been kind of watching the ratios and seen a few things that are interesting. So, without further ado, I did try to make this a little bit more clear. I know in the last video it was kind of awkward because it was just numbers all the way down. So somebody could be mistaken for, they could have said scrolls 160 chaos. No, that's not the case at all. So scrolls are still trading at about 160 for 1C. You can find a more favorable price for sellers. I have seen, as low as 120 for 1C. I suspect what a lot of people are doing is they're probably flipping transmutes, and because you can take a stack of 40 transmutes to a vendor and sell them and get 160 scrolls. So that's keeping the transmute value steady at about 40 for 1C. Augmentation still insufficient data. I've seen a few people buying it, but just not enough really for me to say I think that this is what the rate is. Whetstones, I think the average price for whetstones is still going to be a stack for a chaos. Armor, same thing, stack for a chaos. And then baubles, I have seen a few people. Now I did write small sample here. Um, I mean, you could call this insufficient data, but I have seen a few people purchasing baubles 4 for 1C. So that can be a really good, if you're not already doing this, something that's really, really good to do is anytime you see any superior flask, pick that thing up because it doesn't take a lot of space. Throw it in your bag and then keep a stash tab just for superior flasks. And then when you fill up that stash tab, go sell it for those baubles. It's an easy way to make a little bit of change, a little bit of pocket change for you. So, and also, you when you get to the end game, you're going to want all of your flasks to be 20% quality. It does help. Chromes, I've adjusted my rate a little bit lower. Chromes are not seeing the same action as alts are right now. Normally, chromes and alts are pretty even, but Chrome, just for whatever reason, is not seeing as much play. There's lots of people out there who are trying to buy for 20. There are a few flippers out there that are trying to sell for 16. If you're wanting to get I'd say the average price there would be 18. At 18, you can probably get a pretty quick deal if you're a seller or a buyer. I was able to get 17 yesterday for some sales. So if you're holding on to Chrome, you could potentially move it at 17, but I think 16 right now is a bit too aggressive. Alts, the price continues. They continue to strengthen against the chaos. I'm thinking that some of this has to do with jewels. People are rolling blue jewels right now and then regaling them to try to get some payola on the jewels, because if you get a jewel that has since jewels can't roll as many props as rare items, if you roll two good affixes on a jewel and then regal it, there's a pretty good chance that you might fill that jewel up with something nice. And if you get a jewel that has four complementary things on it, you can make a good amount of money on your investment. So anyways, alts, pretty easy sell at 16, 15 even. I have moved some at 15, so yeah, there is action. Lot of heavy trading in alts, guys. Jewelers, the price is starting to strengthen on jewelers, just as I thought it would. The further you go into the league, usually jewelers strengthen pretty hardcore. I have seen people even buying at 6 to 1 on jewelers, but those are people that are probably pretty desperate, that are probably screwed something up on their gear. I think 7 to 1 is a safe trade there are still going to be a lot of people wanting to buy at 8 to 1, but 7 to 1 is your rate right now on Jewelers. Chance orbs also are pushing up higher against the chaos, probably due to people are trying to chance, leather belts for headhunters and agates for Ball's Devotion, things like that. So be aware of that. Chisels 5 for 2. It's a pretty steady rate right now. Fuse, Alk, and Scour are all 2 for 1 right now. You could potentially get a little bit better rate on the Alks. I have seen and gotten some trades at 2.5, but I think the days of 3 for 1 as a buyer are probably over. At least in this league, I don't anticipate seeing it at that. Insufficient data for blessed orbs. They're just not seeing a lot of volatility, a lot of movement in the market, simply because they're just not very useful right now in the game. Veil orbs still 1 for 1, holding pretty strong. You'll see people are still trying to buy at maybe like 5 veil for 4 chaos, or 10 for 9, 10 for 8. But I think most of the action's getting done at an even rate. So regrets 1 for 1. That's pretty steady. Regals have been kind of weak in this league. I've actually seen Regals dip as low as 1.5 per, but I think 2 is probably a good rate for Regals. Exalts continue to surge. Last week I had them at 50. They're up to an average, I would say, of 55 right now. I have seen people buying as high as 57 or 58. Now that's buying. I've seen people buying at that high. I've actually seen sellers over 60. So I'm not sure if now is the time to get in on a little bit of speculation on the Exalts. I'm inclined to believe that Exalt is about to peter out. I don't know how much longer it can appreciate. I never thought it would go over 50. So I'm sitting here now and I'm thinking, I think we've missed the boat if you were wanting to invest in Exalt. Yeah. So GCP, 2 for 1. That's a pretty low rate actually for GCP. You might actually start to see that appreciate a little bit as the league matures a little bit more. And Divine Orbs are also still at 12 for 1. Mirrors insufficient data. So yeah, that's what I've seen this week. That's been going on. And yep, can't really think of anything else. Thinking about the new patch that came out that introduced the Chaos Generals, but nothing really came out with that needs to be covered in this report. So, anyways, I'm still open to ideas for what you would like for this to be. If you'd like for me to talk about some unique prices too, I could go into that. I could do some research. Certainly, I can't be giving the prices on all the uniques, but if there were uniques that are of interest to people and they would like for me to track those, I would be more than welcome to do that for you. But just hit me up in the comments or send me a message in game, and I would be glad to chat with you about this. Until next time, game on.